Well, so here we are. We're going to make some breakfast tacos today. I'm going to take you along for the ride. So the first thing I need to do is get the potatoes cooking. I want to cook them separately, and they need to cook about 10 minutes because I like them soft, but I also like them crispy. So, normally for something like this, I have bacon grease available, but I haven't made bacon lately, and I used up all my other bacon grease, so today we're going to fry our potatoes in lard. If you have beef tallow, that'll work as well. Remember, seed oils, canola oil, vegetable oils, they are not healthy for you to eat. In fact, they can cause problems. So I'm just going to grab, it's just basically pork fat is what this is, rendered pork fat. I'll throw a little bit in here. You don't need a lot. You just need something for the potatoes to sizzle in. Then I'm using an electric range, so I'm going to start. I heat my oil up at about 7 until it starts to shimmer. I recommend you use, I like russet potatoes. You can use, any kind of potato you like, but I'm going to go with a russet. And we got a big baking potato. So I'm just going to cut it. That. I've already washed it, of course. Now I'm going to cut it here. You got to be careful with the potato when you cut it. It's starchy, and it wants to stick to the knife. And you could, if you were using a really sharp knife like I am, you could lift it up and accidentally cut yourself. So just be careful. So I just kind of quarter the potato so that I can get even-sized chunks. Alright, so it's a big potato. Very big potato. That's a whole lot of potato there. I'll move this over here. Yeah, see, there's one little problem with that method. When this potato is that big, look at these big chunks of potato. I don't want big old honking chunks of potato in my breakfast taco. I want little bites of potato. So we'll end up cutting some of these up, make them a little bit smaller. You want the slices to be even because otherwise they'll cook. Some will cook quicker than the others. All right, yeah, that looks good. That one's too big. Alright, I think we're good. Now, as you can see, that's not a bunch of oil in the pan. You see how it's starting to smoke a little? Alright, so I'm going to turn that down to 4. And then very carefully add your potatoes. Now, lard gives off a distinct kind of smell when you cook with it, and a lot of people don't like using lard. So if you're one of those people, you can use bacon grease, you can use beef tallow, whatever you want. Sky's the limit. So I'm going to get these in here cooking. Alright, so I'm going to take a little kosher, I'm going to take a little salt and pepper. That's all I'm going to put on these for now. Because if you add your spices too soon, they'll just burn from the heat. Because you got to cook the potatoes a while. So initially I'm going to salt and pepper them. I'm going to put a lid on them on 4. It's about medium-high heat or medium heat. I'm going to put a lid on these. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, okay? And that'll get the potatoes started cooking and get them soft. So make sure you have a good lid. It doesn't have to be tight fitting, but you know. And the idea is to get the heat to come up and back down over the top of the potatoes, and then it softens them. So we'll set the timer for 5 minutes, and we'll come back when that's done. And there you go. You can see the potatoes sizzling in the pan. Now, in the meantime, I need to cut up some bell pepper and some onion, and we're just going to put them in a bowl so I can use them. Alright, so the potatoes are ready to be stirred. So you can see how the potatoes are getting a nice brown color on them. Right? Alright, so still, you see it's not real hot. They're sticking a little. So let's fix that. Don't have them sticking. Alright. And then we're going to cook them for another 5 minutes with the lid on. And I'm going to move on and do some other stuff while those are cooking. Now, the choice of onion you use is up to you, but I like red or purple onion. It's got a lovely aroma. It's very garlic-like. I just like the kind of flavor it gives me. So I'm going to put that and these green peppers together. And I'm going to add one more item to that. So we're going to add some fresh garlic to that. 1 clove or 2. I'm going to add 2. And then what I do in order to peel it is first thing I do is smash it to break the shell or the skin. And then you just get this lovely fragrant garlic. That's a clove of garlic for those of you who don't know what it is. Now, Joe, why don't you just use, I'm going to turn the heat down to about 3. I'm going to need to move to a spatula because these things, for whatever reason, are starting to stick. Alright. There's a lot of starch in this potato. It's coming out. That's what's causing the sticking. But anyway, so we're going to keep these potatoes cooking for another few minutes. Anyway, you can't get the same flavor you get out of a fresh garlic as you do out of garlic powder, but you do you. Sometimes it's just simply a matter of convenience. You don't have time, and I understand that. You still get some garlic out of it. So I'm just going to cut these really thin slices off the garlic with care. And then what I'll do, I get it small, then I'll chop it up with my cleaver. Well, the other thing I could do is use this knife properly and mince this garlic. Alright, so lots of garlic. Lots and lots and lots of garlic. Okay, we'll put that aside. Shake that up here. Put that aside. Our potatoes will be done here in a minute. There's several steps in this because I don't like my potatoes getting too soft and starchy. It just kind of turns it into glue. So alright, so these potatoes should be just fine. So I'm going to pour them into this bowl. Some paper towels. Okay, there you go. Now my heat is down to 3. There you go. There's what the potatoes look like. They're all fried up. So just throw them in a warm butter. Sausage. So, I'm very picky about my breakfast sausage. And my favorite sausage is, and they are not a sponsor. Nobody's sponsoring this video. This is a self-paid for video. I've still got my heat at about 3. So now I'm going to cut the ends of that off. And then I'm going to start, I use about half a pound of sausage, which is going to be about half a tube. Alright. And then just take your time, pull it off by little pieces. Make sure your hands are clean, might have been washed. Make sure the camera's still going. Okay, it is. So, you're probably wondering, well, what are the peppers and the onion and the garlic for? Well, they're going to cook in here with the sausage. Don't cook everything at high heat. It saps the food of its flavor and it dries it out, and what's your hurry? Especially when you add vegetables, because you don't want, you know, a raw piece of garlic or raw piece of onion in your mouth. A lot of people don't find that very pleasant. Doesn't bother me. I love veg, especially garlic, onion, and pepper. Alright, so we're gonna break this up into as small chunks as we can, because remember, the more even the pieces, the more evenly it cooks. Get all of that extra meat. Yeah, I feel for people that won't eat meat or pork or anything like that. It's good more for me. Now, look. That is a shitload of veg, and we're just going to dump it in. Not only are we going to dump it in, we're going to scrape the sides like this is the greatest frosting Mom ever made, or cookie dough. And we're just going to incorporate that into the sausage. Mix it all in. I'm going to get the grease off my hands. Gotta wait for hot water. Soap won't do it without hot water. Hot water helps melt the fat, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Now we got some hot water. Takes a little while. Alright, so let me give you a look-see as to the mirepoix we got going on here. Alright, so there you go. We got onion, green pepper, and garlic mixed in with the sausage. We're cooking at 3. Number 3, we're going to put this on. We'll do it for about 4 minutes. And then we'll come back. So I'm going to get my eggs ready. And you're probably going to think I'm a millionaire, because I'm going to use 6 eggs. So, 6 eggs. At this point, I add no salt, no pepper. They can turn your eggs into rubber. So, do you though. A lot of people add salt and pepper to the egg at this point. I don't do that. Now what I'm going to do is just add, I'm going to turn the water on to get it cold. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to do a splash of water in here. That's all I did. Less than a third of a cup of water. Just like maybe 2 tablespoons worth of water. That's all you need. And then break your yolks with a fork, and then just start making scrambled eggs. And again, we're not in any hurry. So we had the potatoes sticking in the pan earlier. Now all the moisture from that sausage and from the onions and the peppers is going to get down in there and loosen those bits of potato up off the bottom of the pan and add to the flavor. So there we go. You don't want to overbeat your eggs. That looks good right there. You see the color and the consistency? Okay, again, all the cooking is so personal, it's like everything else. Everybody has their own style. You do you. This is how I do it. I've been cooking a long time. Not that I'm great at it, but that's okay. I have my methods. And then this extra sausage, I'm just gonna put in a Ziploc baggie. So, turn that off. Let me show you what it looks like in the pan. Okay, it's kind of a soupy mess, right? Yeah, because everything's like let go of all of its water. So now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and cook it for another 4 or 5 minutes with the lid off to let that moisture get out of that, evaporate, right? And you can see how it's loosened all the stuff on the bottom of the pan now. It's clean and it's integrated with the food. The reason I told you not to salt or pepper the eggs is because it can tend to toughen eggs. I wait till I put them in the pan and start cooking them, and then I salt and pepper them. Okay, so you do you though. So we're going to give this stuff in the pan a few more minutes to cook. I'll go ahead and set a timer for 4 minutes, and we'll come back. Okay, so our time is up, and it looks like, yeah, let's cook. You can see it's starting to get a little brown. Bring you over here for a view. Starting to get a little brown. So now we can go ahead and add our eggs. Never cook your eggs on a temperature higher than 3. Just a little helpful hint from Heloise. Alright, and now we'll add a little salt. That's a lot of salt. No, not really, it's not. Not a lot of salt. And I like a little bit of pepper. Now, Joe, where are the potatoes? Well, the potatoes are in the oven staying warm, so I can cook the eggy, because I don't want the potatoes getting all soggy and nasty. So, we're going to need something else. So, we're going to need one of those. You know what those are? You youngsters out there. Now, I like to let my egg kind of set up for a while. So here's what it looks like, bubbling away in the pan. And again, my heat's not any higher than 3. Ooh, my coffee's ready. Oh my goodness. So, you see that? Heavy whipping cream. And yeah, I wish we could get raw milk, but I just need to find a farmer. There you go. A little cream for my coffee. Eggs are cooking. I think I'm going to get ready to go ahead and flip them. Start turning them. And I just take them from the edges to the middle and fold them. No, they need to cook a little while longer. Keep in mind they're only on 3, so they're going to cook fairly slow. But that's right. If you cook eggy too fast at too high a temperature, it can get a little skunky on you. Start smelling like sulfur. And try to wash as you go. It's just much easier. You see those eggs are looking light and lovely and delicious. They're still a little wet, but they will firm up in momentito. Alright, then I like to fold. I like to flip them up from the bottom and fold them over. And those eggs look done. Okay, the eggs are now done. Alright, I'll show you them. They're now nice and light and fluffy. Alright, so now let's get the taters out, add them. I'm gonna dump them in. Oh, come on now. Sometimes they'll stick. You gotta be persuaded to come off the paper towel. That's the way life goes sometimes. A lot of starch in these potatoes, so it makes them so sticky. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off because there's lots of residual heat in here. Alright, now I'm going to taste to make sure I've got enough salt and pepper in there. No, needs more salt. And more salt. Now, keep in mind when we add the cheese, that's going to add salt to it as well. For those of you who are salt sensitive, you should probably use less. Or they have some medical condition. Again, I'm not a doctor, so you do you. Now the most important part, the cheese. So we're just going to start cutting it off. It's just Velveeta, or, you know, American cheese, whatever you want to use. You can use cheddar, use Swiss, Gouda, Brie, whatever you want. Alright, so we've got a lot of cheese going in here. Now, the residual heat of the stove should melt all this together in about 5 minutes. So we're going to be patient and just let that, I could even turn on low heat just to be sure. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes and then we'll come back when the cheese is done. So while we're waiting for this to become golden, bubbly, and delicious, which it will eventually, in fact I want to make sure of it, I'm going to go ahead and heat up a pan on about 7, a little round pan like this. And we're going to heat it up to about a 7. Could use corn. They're probably healthier for you. They don't have the gluten. They don't have the flour in them. If you're diabetic, you should stick away from flour. Okay, there's 3 for my spouse. I'm going to make myself 2 flour tortillas. Now, as close as I am to the border, you think I'd be making these from scratch. But, however, my tia never taught me Anyway, so what I do, I just heat up the tortillas in a pan. You'll see my method of doing it. And then I put them into this little container here. And you can tell it's old, but it's just lined with paper towel. It's a styrofoam container. You put them in there and they keep the tortillas warm or hot. And yeah, let's move you up into a different camera angle here, if I can. I don't know if I can. Here we go. Here's a different angle. Alright, so the pan's starting to get warm. Alright, so let me show you how I do this. So lay a tortilla in there. Have a fork ready. Now, keep in mind my fingers are kind of numb from nerve damage, so I don't feel heat like you and other people do. So just bear that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and stir this up to help the cheese get a little more melty in here. Just get in there. So you can see now after about 5 minutes I've mixed that cheese and it's gotten all melty and golden bubbly and delicious, and this thing is just about ready. I'm going to leave it on the heat for a minute or two more while I'm waiting on my tortillas. And you just take the tortillas and flip them. Turn that off. Another timer for about 3 minutes. Put the lid back on this. And keep an eye on our tortilla making. We're just heating them up, folks. But you'll see it'll start to brown. I worked at a Mexican restaurant for several years. I love Mexican food. Next to Italian food, it's one of my favorites. So the longer you let this sit and get all constituted, bubbly, and delicious, the better it's going to be. There you go. You can see the tortilla is starting to take on some color now. See how it's getting darker? Darker there. Now once you get this pan heated up, this will go fairly quickly. I wouldn't recommend more than about 30 seconds on each side, otherwise you run the risk of burning it. So this one is now warmed up. I'm just going to throw it in the tortilla caddy and go on to the next one. Alright, so we're ready to make a plate. So let me show you how to load a taco. You get your tortilla. You get your sumptuous, delicious and you very carefully lay it out. Just like that. And then fold her in half. Same thing with the next one. Yep, these tortillas are now done. Get them off of here. Get that off the heat. Our next tortilla. I like to overstuff mine. There's two. And here's three. And again, you just fold it over like that. And then, voila. Breakfast tacos are served, my dear. And that's how easy it is. Wow, I'm going to go sit down and enjoy my breakfast. I don't know about you.
I've been watching old Unky Joe. From Texas heat to where the cacti grow. Fixing server solar power in the land. Hoping that his plans all stand. Making life a touch more bright underneath those southern lights.